guys?
What's up, everybody? Before we kick off,
give me just a second here, guys. I'll try to move this over to this other monitor. Don't mind me. Just trying to get this set up. And I need to do the pop-out chat. Hey, is there still lots of static? I don't know who just said that. It said good to go, but that was probably when I unplugged it. Static is back. How about now? You guys that are saying it's gone is literally, I think, when I unplugged this microphone. Maybe, maybe. All right, let's try. How about now? So static gone. I didn't think this would be this complicated. The weird part is there's no way to do like testing before you go online with Alright, well, this is the best I'm going to be able to do for right now, guys. So let me pull this out here. Pop out chat. I want to kind of be looking at the screen-ish. I'm gonna go. I just thought there was a couple questions on here, so I'm gonna go through and try to answer. Well, I think there's only two. Andrew, can you explain the method for slowing down rim strip evaporation? Yeah. Basically, you put effectively 2 inches of water, so pour water on top of. I know that sounds ridiculous. The water will actually separate from everything that matters, and the biggest thing that it's doing is it's holding. So methylene chloride boils at about 100 degrees. So I don't know where you're at and what you have temperature wise, but my shop will get well over 100 degrees during the summer because I refuse to run a swamp cooler because of the difference in humidity. If you put 2 inches of water on, it'll stop the evaporation process from happening. The other thing it helps with is it will actually knock off a bunch of the stuff as you pull out apart, wheels, whatever the case might be. It'll actually help knock that off. So makes your rinse off part a little bit easier, and then you can scoop out the remnants out of your tank if you want to go that route. It's not bad, stand it. How many CFM does your exhaust fan for your spray booth move? So mine's actually I don't know. Mine are, I have 2 HVAC type blower motors. If I remember correctly, it's way too high. I want to say it's, no, I would, guessing would be stupid, honestly. I don't know what they are. I know that there was 3 different options on each one, and we turned the middle option, or we turned it initially was the highest option on both. If you know anything about these type of motors, for like furnaces, I guess that's like a normal thing. Depends on how you wire them is how fast they'll spin. And I don't know, we set them up initially to be as fast or as much air as possible, but those were too fast. It was actually pulling the powder away before it could get to the part. So we put them both on like the medium setting, and it's been much better, obviously. The MERV rating, I actually don't know what the rating is for my filters. The place that I grabbed them from is like 2 blocks from here. I'll check when I'm there next. I think I actually still have the packaging that one of them came in, one of the boxes that they came in. Do I still use B17? I do not use B17 and haven't for a long time. I use a product called Rim Strip. It's actually, the information's down in the description of this video. It's very similar to B17. It's just cheaper and you can get it faster. Works just as well. How do I dispose of it? So there's a couple different ways to dispose of it. The way that I use is my remnants, my leftover stuff, so like paint and powder and stuff that's been stripped off. I take that and put it into a barrel, essentially. You can then take that barrel and put it in the sun. I know that sounds ridiculous. It needs to be an open container, obviously. And it's going to dry it out. So you're just left with the remnants of paint. You have to stir it up every, couple days, let it sit out there for a week or so. And then you can take it to a dump, depending on where you're at. The dump here has like a specific sort of hazardous waste area. And they charge you a little bit more than it would be just to dump stuff, but you can take it there. There's also companies that come and pick it up. I've had it picked up one time. That company's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, so I didn't do that again. Another option that I've seen people do is they'll put out like a guy used a tarp, and I assume that the chemical by then had been neutralized enough that it wasn't an issue with going on the tarp, but he put his out in the sun, like spread it out, so then he was left with like dried paint flakes basically, and he just scooped it up, put it in a dumpster. So I don't think that's the right way to do it, and I'm not telling you to do it that way, so you have to look at it based on where you're at. Do you need to notify them you miss? So the fire department is the only person that would care that I have it, and the product that I use isn't flammable. So I know that methylene chloride you can't have in anything more than I think a gallon at a residence. The EPA restrictions that went into effect I think in November of last year are what affects that. So you have to look into something like that based on location more than anything. Ricardo, I have a Gemma Optiflex 2. It's being used in the gun comparison. So I already own one, and admittedly the 3 Chinese guns that are replicas of it seem to be the exact same gun, even down to the internals. Box. Gun, they're literally the same. They actually have the same part numbers on them. Patrick, regarding 2-tone powder coat, I'm trying to powder coat my clutch cover, but the Honda is concaved. How would I go about getting my powder in there without affecting the rest of the coat, which is black? So, you want to do the Honda in a different color than the rest, and the rest is black. So if it's concave, it's pretty simple. You can spray it and then wipe off. I would tape it so you don't have like a ton of overspray all over it. But you just take and wipe away the powder. If you look at my recent video that I just posted would probably be a great example. You can, spray it, wipe it off. Try not to knock a bunch of it into the lettering itself, just because it will get too thick. And depending on how you hang it, it could run out. I don't know if you're just setting it on an oven rack or hanging it or whatever. JR Flores, I haven't seen. Oh, and Patrick, the other thing, if you get powder that gets partially cured, pull it out and look, partway through cure and see if you have powder on there. If you got powder that's on your black that's the wrong color, if it's little amounts, you can go through and just keep curing it, then go through and just lightly like wet sand it. You're talking like 1500 grit paper, 1200 grit paper, and then just polish it or clear it. That'll help if you have any issues, just like I said, with color on the black. Haven't seen headers. Can you powder coat headers? Will it strip off? So, JR Flores, there are high temp powders that are good to about 800 degrees. I've had success with them, but admittedly, the powders that I've used for high temp stuff has always been for like show cars that are never going to see any real use. Most of the time, if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I have headers, I want to stop them from rusting, whatever," I use Cerakote to do most of that. So a ceramic coating. I've actually started using another company. I don't want to say the name of the company right now. Just I'm doing some testing with some of their products because I might be switching to them. But it's just a ceramic, the exact same as Cerakote, no different. What's the price of a 55-gallon? So the pricing varies, but you're gonna expect. I mean, if you're in the States with the shipping, you're $700 and something. It comes out of I think Missouri or something like that, and I'm in Utah, and with shipping and everything, it's I think about $700. So all their pricing is done, including shipping. If you're out of the country, I don't think they can ship it to you. I don't know the complications of doing any of that. Hey Stan, thanks. Wait, did the questions actually stop? There's no other questions. Wait. Should I make sure this is actually loading? If you guys can hear me, post something. Oh, okay, there's one. What's the pandemic have you done every day with seminars or tours of shops? No, Patrick. I can't. I'm just a powder coater, man. Like, I mean, I do this stuff to try to help other people, but I'm not like I'm not like an industry guy or anything. I'm sure that there's people that would be much better at doing speeches and going around and teaching classes. I've had a couple people contact me asking if I would do like classes, and I just like the problem with me doing a class is everything I would be telling you would be like it's trial and error. Just like go learn, which is I mean I could tell you that on here for free. You don't have to pay or travel or do anything. And if you guys have questions about stuff, I'm always happy to answer them or try to make videos of them just the same. So, as far as traveling to shops, I mean, if I travel, there's a couple people that I've went and visited their shops because I was in the area. I have powder coating, like industry friends or whatever, and I'll always hit them up. And that was weird. This whole building just shook. With powder coating friends, I'll just hit them up and I'll go visit, not necessarily to visit their shop, but to go hang out with them, and it's at their shop. So, they're like me. They spend basically their whole life at the shop. So, secrets to stopping or helping with orange peel. Orange peel is kind of a weird one, man. Like, there's so many variables. It could be your gun, it could be your KV, it could be your ground, it could be the powder itself. I tend to, when I find powders that are prone to orange peel, like it's more, I see it a lot more often with this color, I usually just try to find another color that's similar to that one and just be like, hey, if a customer's like, hey, I want this color, I'm like, all right, well, what do you think about this color? And it's, usually close enough, or it's even sometimes the same, and you don't have to deal with it. If it's big like sheet metal, there's almost nothing that you can do to get rid of it. In the process, at least. If it's at the end, like if you're doing panels or whatever, you can go through and wet sand, like cut and buff them like you do automotive paint. If you have something that you want like a super reflective finish, like a mirror type finish. Beyond that, I mean, with big panels, there's almost nothing you can do. Christopher, so warranty work is pretty straightforward for me, man. Like it's if it's clearly a failure at a powder level, or an application level or whatever, I'm not going to warranty it due to damage. I usually work with people pretty well. Like if I did a set of wheels, new curbed them, I try to work with you price wise, just because I understand that sucks. But I warranty everything for 5 years. I've never really had any issues with warranty stuff. I think the one time that I had warranty issues, or 2 times technically, was with one color. It was one specific batch of powder that turned out to be bad from Prismatic, and they actually helped kind of take care of it. So, that's the one cool thing about Prismatic, especially like having an insider kind of at Prismatic, so that somebody that I can just text anytime I need something. It makes life a lot easier. Bentley, stop barking. But warranty stuff is, I mean, if they plow a wheel into a curb, I can't warranty that. If they spray chrome cleaner on it, I can't warranty that either. But, you know, if they came to me 2 years later and there was, you know, a flaking piece of powder, like, you know, big piece of powder that was coming off, or it was really badly rock chipped in what appeared to be regular use or something, I would just fix it for free. No questions asked. How much do you charge for a set of wheels if you have to strip, blast, and coat? Karchner. So we have a, you know, in this area, like $300 for a set is pretty much the number. And I know that that's not, you know, that's location based for sure. I've had people be like, oh, you only charge $300. You know, another powder coating channel was like, we make way more money than you when we powder coat wheels. And it's like, yeah, well, I do 4 sets a day and they're doing a set every couple days. You know, it's like, so it's all relative. And my pricing is based off what my local competition is. There's some that are cheaper. I think there's there's 2 more places. There's one place that I know is for sure, but they're like outrageous. They're like $700 for a set. But they deal with kind of a specific group of people. And then other coaters are like right in my price range. We're all talking within 10%, or, you know, not a huge variance in price. And ultimately, I know what everything costs me. I know what the process is. I know how long it takes me, you know, and $300 for a set of single stage 17-inch wheels in black, like, yeah, I can do that all day, you know, and be plenty happy, especially doing multiple sets a day. Oh, wait, no, it's going too fast. You guys can keep asking questions. I just jumped out of the screen. Powder coating plastic. I heard you came, but never done it because I'm afraid the plastic might come out. So it depends on the type of plastic. Mazda, GM, Ford. Trying to think of who else I've done it on. Scion at one point, so a Toyota product. They all make parts that you can put through an oven. They're high temp plastics. The downside is a lot of it's trial and error. The way that I figured out kind of what I could and couldn't do. If you call a company like LKQ, or you know, can go to a wrecking yard, you can usually get one of their parts or a broken version of their part. That's what I used to get from LKQ. They were happy for me to, you know, take a broken piece of valve cover or manifold, and I would just put it on a rack and put it in the oven, just to see what happened to it. I know that there's some low temp powders, not in many colors, that you can use to get away from the generals of powder coating, the 400 degree common thing that we all have to deal with in plastic. But you end up, you know, that's limited on colors and kind of sucks anyway. So for me, it's just like a testing thing. I know that the new like Evo 10 valve covers that come in plastic, you can powder coat those. So they're a little different. I tend to put those in on an oven rack, and put them into a low temperature oven and then raise the temperature, as opposed to just expose them to 400 degrees. I don't necessarily know why I do that, other than it hasn't had any issues doing it that way. So I've just continued to do it that way. Doesn't mean that you have to. Just bought the high colo KXF1. I'm glad more of buy since you said it has identical internals to Gemma. Yeah, so one of the things that I figured out in this this gun comparison that we are still recording, I know that a lot of you guys have been asking about that. It's a super involved process. Like I'm trying to dedicate at least an hour a day to recording just doing that stuff. But you know, my schedule has been pretty wild, so that hasn't been necessarily an option right now. So I'm getting about an hour a day, which is good. I'd like to try to get some more time in. I might actually even later today hit up the shop and start messing with it and recording some more stuff. But when I took those boxes apart, I actually have 3 replicas of Gemmas, all of them identically packaged, even to the Gemma. When I say package, I mean the way that they're put in the box, the ties that hold cables together, hoses together, the color of tape that is holding things inside. It's literally identical. I pulled the cases off of the 3 Chinese boxes, and they are all internally identical. I mean, resistors, capacitors, they're exactly the same. Everything is the same. The boards are identical. The Gemma unit has a sticker that says that it would void the warranty. I think I'm probably going to do it anyway because I don't really care at this point. But I do want to see, from what I can see looking through, I took one of the hose ports off, and from what I can see looking inside, it's also identical, but I'm pretty limited as to what I can see inside, so I don't want to say that as a for sure thing. Patrick, the Hobby Gun review video, I guess I just kind of covered that randomly. If you had one tip or piece of advice to someone starting out in powder coating, what would it be? Man, literally just start powder coating stuff. Like, stop reading, stop looking at stuff on the internet, I'm not going to say stop watching my videos, but just start powder coating. Like, the best thing that you could possibly do is to go out and do something. I think in one of the last Q&As, I went through and I was like, look, I just went to a wrecking yard they have, one of the local yards to me has a half off day. On Wednesdays, it's half off, and you can go get a valve cover for like $6 or something like that. You got to take it off, whatever, but you can just go around and just get a couple valve covers. A lot of times, you don't have to take them off. There'll be somebody pulled the valve cover off to, get to the timing belts or whatever, that they might have done. Just go grab a couple aluminum valve covers. If you don't sandblast yourself, take them to a sandblaster and get them all sandblasted and cleaned up, and just practice. I mean, it's literally that simple. When I started powder coating, I powder coated for 6 months for myself before I would even consider somebody else's parts. So it's definitely the best way, is just like flat out learning. It's like the old joke, like the guy, you have two people that are looking for a job. One of them went to college for the job and one of them's been doing it for the last 2 years. It's like, I'm hiring the guy that's been doing that job for 2 years because he has real world experience. What they're teaching you typically in a school is super basic, and it's really open to interpretation. When you've been doing a job, it's easier, to hire that guy and know that he knows what he's talking about. Do you put everything in rinse strip? Not everything. If it's got powder on it, for sure. Sometimes if it's painted, for sure, especially if it's got like an enamel paint. But if I can just blast it off, I'll just blast it off. Or if you're asking if I put everything in it, as far as like material wise, no, plastic doesn't go in it. You can put magnesium in it. I say pretty openly, like, don't put magnesium in it, just as like a safety thing. If you're gonna stand there, you can dip it in, let it sit for a couple, like 2 minutes, and pull it back out and rinse it off, and you'll have to keep doing that. But you never want to take a piece of a magnesium valve cover, that comes on like Evos. Volvos have them, BMWs have them. Trying to think, there's a bunch of European cars have magnesium covers. Mercedes has a ton of different magnesium parts. You don't want to let those just sit in there. And if you need to test if it's magnesium, dip it in there. If it starts to foam like a ridiculous amount, it's magnesium. It's pretty easy to tell, and you'll see it right away. It's not like you don't have to guess, is it foaming? It'll definitely foam. Can you explain how you manage and clean powder hoses by color? So my hoses I literally just wrote on them with a Sharpie. As far as color goes, cleaning them out, there's a stuff called backer rod. You can actually buy like the cleaning kits, which I think are just pieces of backer rod cut up. Backer rod is at Home Depot. It's literally just backer rod, and it's a foam. You can buy 3/8 or 1/2 inch. I think they have different colors. Whatever size hose that you're going to be using is what size you're going to want to get. I cut it into little like 1-inch sections, and I blow those through, and they basically work. It's like putting a bullet down a barrel. Like it's essentially like riding that barrel to some degree and cleaning out the edges of it. And I'll put 2 or 3 of those through. I blow it out first, and then I run 2 of those one way and then a third one the other way, just to make sure. And I don't have any contamination issues at all when I do it that way. So, are all powder suppliers equal? Sure. No. I would say, like, grand scheme of things, like, is just a broad comparison, probably. Prismatic's never going to be considered a big box. They don't even sell big box stuff. That's why you buy 2 pounds, it's basically the same price as buying 55 per pound. They give a slight deal, not much of a deal, but they give a very slight deal when you buy large amounts. But they've always been like a custom powder coating company, as opposed to Tiger and Sherwin and IFS and some of those guys. They're big box. Almost everything they want to sell you is 30 pounds or 55 pounds, and they do a lot of industrial commercial. But if you look at the amount of colors that Prismatic has versus all of those companies put together, it's like Prismatic has more than all of them by numerous times. So, I mean, they're not equal, like, quality-wise. Yeah, they're probably all about the same. But you're going to find variances. You know, the variances are kind of at the ends of the spectrum because you're, you know, like, I might love a clear from one company, but I'm not going to buy a clear from the other company because it's not as good. You know, it's like all the clears aren't the same. All the blacks aren't the same. I used to love ink black. IFS has super wet black, which is awesome. But I use IFS black is great. I would honestly order it all the time. If I didn't have a Sherwin-Williams, you know, a 3-minute drive from here, I can just go pick up Sherwin-Williams mirror black, and it's just as good as the IFS super wet black. So they're not all the same. It's really a matter of finding what you like. You know, I've definitely tried out a bunch of powders and kind of narrowed down what I like and what I don't like. I buy probably 4 or 5 colors from IFS that I stock in 55-pound boxes. I buy 2 or 3 colors now from Sherwin. I buy 2 colors from Interpon, and then most everything else is from Prismatic. I've been getting, you know, I get some stuff from APP, but lately, the only thing I'm going to keep getting from APP is colors that are just like, I know what they are. All the color match stuff that I've been getting from APP has been pretty disappointing lately. In fact, I bought a pound of a color. It didn't really match, but it was pretty close. And then I recently bought another pound of that color from IFS, or from APP, and that one wasn't even close. And it was, I mean, you know, I just reordered the exact same thing that I had ordered. So, I mean, yeah, they're all the same in the general sense, but there's definitely areas that certain ones excel in over others. Let's see. Go ahead and send those plugs over to Precise Powder Coatings here in West Jordan. Oh, local. No, we're gonna do this here. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna be able to move this because I mounted this and now I can't move it. I might have to move this monitor so you guys can see it. But I have all the names already put in. There was 1,148 names. So, and to be fair, some of those are multiple entries because you could enter multiple times. So, we'll be doing the giveaway here shortly and get you guys involved in that. Will blasting clean up smooth aluminum that is slightly pitted? I mean, it'll clean it up. It's not going to smooth it. The one thing that people, I think, kind of don't understand about sandblasting is sandblasting removes material at the same rate. So pitting, if you're blasting down into pitting, it'll help it a little bit just because it'll probably kind of round it. Like pitting normally is jagged on the edges because it's usually due to corrosion. It'll kind of round that down on those edges, so it'll make it slightly better. But it's removing the material at the bottom of the pit at the same rate that it is at the top of the pit, if that makes sense. So it's not really going to fix your problem. You know, it rounds the corners to some degree on aluminum. On steel, it doesn't really do anything. Won't hide it at all because you don't typically remove much material when you're blasting steel, unless you're using something super aggressive, obviously. How do you stock your powder from the heat? So my powder is actually set up kind of strange. It's directly in the center of my shop where it doesn't get exposed to any of like the heat type of elements. I mean, it gets almost 100 degrees in the shop sometimes. But the way that I have it set up, it never even gets like the area that I have a little thermometer thing in there and a little indicator that if it got over 85 degrees, it would let me know. But everything is just stored on shelves out of the sun. So it's pretty straightforward. Sorry, back to hoses. How many different hoses do you use? I think I have 8, if I remember correctly. I have actually a whole roll of it, so I can always make more hoses. I bought a bit of it here, or I bought a roll of it here local at Hose and Rubber Supply. Turned out to be not the cheapest way to do it. I found them online for much cheaper. But I think I have 8. I have one for clears, white. I have one dedicated to white, one dedicated to black, one dedicated to clears, one dedicated to metallic clears. And then I have one that's purple and blue. I have a yellow one. Oh no, I guess I have more than 8. I have 10. Yeah, I have 10. So I would recommend that just for like a contamination issue, but the difference is like I'm spraying 10 colors a day. You know, if you're only spraying 1 color a day or 2 colors a day, you probably don't need multiple hoses. You can just make sure that you clean them really well each time, and then you don't have to stress on it. I mean, because the hose isn't terribly expensive, but it's not the cheapest thing either, especially when you're making them, 10-foot, 12-foot hoses, stuff like that. That stuff, it adds up pretty quick if you try to get wild with hoses. Do I polish? No. So this is complicated. So no. Most everything I do, if I need something polished, I send it out to the place that does all my plating as well. But I did just buy a vibratory ceramic polisher. Actually, I have a video coming out showing some new equipment. My electrician actually is here right now dealing with some of the electrical stuff to hook a bunch of this new equipment up, but we'll cover that in another episode. I will be doing my own polishing for the most part with the vibratory ceramic polisher from now on, from when it's set up on. No, I don't use grounded hoses. I've seen people that run grounded hoses. I've even seen people that I watched a tutorial. Somebody sent me a link to a forum, and I just sat and kind of read the forum for like 20 minutes one day. And there was a guy who made his own grounded hoses. Like, he ran this 2 metal lines. It looked like paper clips. I'm sure that's not what it was, but it looked like a paper clip shoved through his hoses, and then just hooked that to a ground, so everything that went by was grounded. But I don't see a benefit for doing that, just because you're going to end up putting a static charge to everything anyway. I did have a hose shock the crap out of me once, but I think it was a super high metallic color, and I think it was actually the metallic powder that shocked me, or the metal flake in the powder that shocked me. While I wait for more questions real quick, I'm gonna set this thing up to do the drawing here. And you don't have to be present. I know that there's people that are here now, or there's people that are going to be watching this later after we do this. You don't have to be present. I'll contact you. I have how you contacted me, whether it was YouTube, Instagram, email. I even had people contact me through Snapchat for whatever reason. So, and you guys can follow me. All my, Instagrams is @unknowncoatings, Snapchat's @unknowncoatings. I made a TikTok, but I don't ever post anything on it, which is also @unknowncoatings. Let's see if I can run this. Do you have any help, or I am definitely a one-man show. I have the girl that pops up in my videos occasionally, not the one from the scooter video, but the girl with the kind of long blonde hair, tall, skinny girl. She sandblasts for me semi-often. She used to do it all the time, now she does it occasionally. Literally the best sandblaster on the planet. Actually, I think I mentioned that 2 videos ago. Was it episode 56 probably? She's the one that's out petting the dogs. So besides that, no, I'm just a one-man show. Occasionally I'll bring somebody in and try to have them help in easy ways that aren't technical. I don't want to sit and teach anybody how to do anything in person necessarily, as far as like helping them get a job. I've taught a couple people how to powder coat and taught them about industry stuff, and they've all gone and like worked for my competition. So I tend to avoid that, and I don't want to hire anybody, so I guess it's fair that they went somewhere else. But I'll have people come and do, sandblasting if I'm super busy one day, or when I got in my car accident, I physically couldn't get my hand into the gloves. I had people blasting for me during that time and stuff like that. Yeah, Stan, I don't know if I have competition either here locally. I was so glad that there was a post on one of the local pages that was like, who's the cheapest powder coater in town? And nobody mentioned me. It was a single, and I'm probably like our prices are all the same. Roughly the same, but there are definitely people who are cheaper. There's some local places that don't do any sandblasting or prep or anything. They kind of wipe your wheels down, and sometimes they even take the wheel weights off, and then they'll powder coat them whatever color you want for like $200. So one of the shirts that I have coming out, you guys on YouTube probably won't like it or maybe even understand like where the joke comes from, but I have a shirt that just says unknown versus everybody, and that was more done for like local stuff. Just on local posts, when somebody is like, hey, who's the go-to for powder coating, like it's me, and there's a bunch of people that mention me, and then there's some other people that get mentioned like occasionally. So the joke was always me versus everybody else. But we'll see how decent beats. What are you pretending, Sten? Sten, you're gonna love the new shirts, by the way, bro. They're neon colors. They got neon yellow, pink, and blue, and then white on black shirts. And I think they are gonna do white shirts. I was waiting to see what the black ones turned out like, but we're set up now to do white ones. So, oh look, Kevin. Not that I care about this. I'm gonna. Because you said shooting, it blocked your comment. Oh yeah, the competition is pretending. Let me see this here. Patrick, how do I send you beats for YouTube? You can send them to me unknowncodings@gmail.com. Just don't copyright flag me, bro. I've had to change. I started using a company that I was getting music from, and then I realized how much of a pain in the ass it is after you do like their little trial. It's not terribly expensive. I think it's like $300 a year or something, and you get kind of unlimited songs. But the way that you have to write stuff in all the descriptions, and if you don't put it exactly, it copyright flags you. It's like it's not worth the hassle. So yeah, if you want to send me stuff, feel free. Do you have a problem shooting yellows? Always seem like yellows are kind of a weird one. So I'm gonna guess, Kevin, that when you shoot yellows, you get light spots that look green. Tell me if I'm right about that, and I will tell you how to fix that exact problem. The prof outro is genius. Hey, thanks, Drew. That one, I actually feel like kind of a jerk for using that one just because it does sound super arrogant. I normally use R.A. the Rugged Man's Mad Famous for Being Unknown because that's always been the slogan since I started. But I somehow deleted that file off my phone, and I've been using the prof one ever since. Highlighter yellow shirt. Yeah, my shirts aren't going to be highlighter yellow, but the new shirts, which I thought I would have by now, definitely have a bunch of neon on them. They remind me very much of like the 80s, like that type of coloring, if that makes sense. Kevin, so when you shoot yellow, you get that green. And what that green comes from is literally just a thin spot. Yellow is kind of one of the weird ones. Interacts really poorly with other colors. So when you mix, if you just try to display black over green or black over yellow or yellow over black, you get pretty wild results a lot of the time. My advice when you're shooting yellow is to shoot it incredibly heavy. Not hot, obviously, not that kind of heavy. Spray it heavy, and then what I do is areas that I feel like there's too much powder, I just lightly blow it off. I shoot it to the point where I can look at it and be like, oh, that's too much powder. Because yellow is one of those like picky, finicky colors, and it also doesn't work, the typical LED light test to see if something works, or to see if there's enough powder on something. Doesn't work a lot on yellow. You don't see the areas nearly as well. A buddy of mine swears up and down by this, and I've never tried it, but he's told me about it 10 times, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. When he sprays yellows and oranges, because he has the same issue with oranges, he'll take a red laser and go just in a bunch of spots, and he'll just wave it back and forth. And I guess he can see thin spots because the same thing as the LEDs, it's reflecting off the metal, and he can actually see the light spots with the red laser. Now, the red laser is small, so your coverage area is kind of weird. You have to keep going over and, over and over and over the same couple spots, basically trying to figure out what's a light spot versus a dark spot. But in an effort to save myself the headache of doing that, I just spray everything heavy when it's yellow. Yellow is one of those colors that you can totally get away with spraying heavy before it gets too wild. What is the difference between the primers that are available? Well, there's all sorts of different primers. Like, the difference is, typically, are you talking like from a chemical makeup? Zinc-based primer is your best bet by far. Steel or aluminum, it kind of strives. It does its best work with steel for a couple reasons. So zinc inhibits corrosion naturally. That's why you see like bolts and stuff get zinc plated from the factory, like OEM type bolts. So say powder coat, let's say a bumper, just as an easy example, or suspension parts or whatever, steel, cast iron, whatever they might be. If you prime them, then powder coat, black, whatever you're putting on it. If you get a chip that somehow gets through both your layers of powder. I mean, it's going to happen, especially on like off-road bumpers and suspension stuff where they plow stuff into things. You can take, if you get a chip and it rusts in that spot, that rust will not spread because of the zinc-based primer. So I'm sure you've seen, rusty parts where as soon as you get underneath something, as soon as the rust gets under the paint and spreads and bubbles, it's weird, the person I just said does on my sandblast just messaged me to show me her new tattoo. The zinc-based primer will stop that from spreading. So you're not going to have like the lifting of paint like you see typically when you have rust forming underneath something. So if I'm going to prime anything, it's with zinc-based primer. There's red oxide primer, which is has its own purposes, which is you spray that on hot, like actually hot, like pull the part out of the oven, spray it. But that's usually used as like a filler. It's used to fill casting imperfections or really rough castings on sand castings and things like that. So, but beyond that, I mean, there's primers for all different things. A lot of the big box companies will explain like where their primers shine versus where they don't, or what they usually will say what they're good at, and you can figure out what they're not good at based on that. Who do I get primer from? I get primer from Sherwin. I've bought primer from IFS. I've bought primer from Prismatic. Prismatic's new zinc primer is pretty stellar. I got 2 pounds of that just to see what it was like. Price isn't great. Obviously, if you're buying primer in big box, you're spending a third of the price as you are buying at a pound of from Prismatic. But like I said earlier, Prismatic's not a big box company. They're not catering to big industry stuff. They're catering to, I don't want to say hobby coaters, but like custom coaters of some kind, whether that's hobby coaters or people like me. I'm a custom coater, not a production guy. Drew, I'd love a video explaining when and how to use primer. So I mean, I could make a video of that, or I could just tell you here. There are companies that prime literally everything. I think Black Label Coatings, I don't know if you guys follow them. He primes and hand sands every single job that he does, and he does great work. So there are companies that do it. I don't. I don't see a reason to prime everything personally. I'm not judging anybody who does. Clearly, I just endorse somebody who does. But I don't see a reason that you would ever want to do all that. It's more work. There's more potential for things to go wrong. The benefits on a standard like wheel or whatever, I don't see any real benefits to doing it versus like the risk of now you have a second, third coat that you're gonna have to deal with if you mess up the primer somehow. It's basically the effort versus reward. Like you're not gaining anything by priming everything, unless you're gonna Black Label Coatings, they go through and hand sand everything to make it like a perfectly smooth finish before they start with their color. So you can go that route if you want. Kevin, thanks for helping us asking all the questions, not acting like everything is a secret. Yeah, I don't understand, man. There's a lot of industries that are like that, and every industry that I've ever been in, I've been the same way. It's like there's plenty of work for everybody. Like, why can't we just tell people all this stuff? I mean, there's a couple secrets that I have. My biggest one is like unicorn pussy, a color that I make that I get asked about 50 times a week, kind of a thing. But I am actually going to be making a video specific about that color here shortly. I actually started recording it already. I did a S2000 valve cover and some other parts for a guy. I want to say he's in the Dakotas, but I think it shipped to Minnesota, which is right there. So Jason, he was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here, but I did some parts and recorded some of his, and then I have a couple other parts that I had to do, and I'm gonna show you guys the process for it, and then potentially start selling. I got enough of the flake now that I can make enough of it, make enough of the actual color for you guys to spray. It's not going to be super cheap, unfortunately, because I can't make it cheap. But as you can see, there's not another color on the market that's even close to it. So I know there's some other people that like to tell me that it's the same as City Lights and Rainbow's End and stuff like that. Anybody who's ever seen that color knows full well it's not even close to that color. So JR Flores, doing the 3-layer coating, chrome, the illusion color, and then clear to do the effect. No, you don't. No. On illusion colors, you don't use a chrome base. Illusions are their own base. That's why when you spray them, they're silver. Hold on here. Let me scroll back up and make sure. Yeah. So, JR, don't ever put anything underneath illusion. It negates it doesn't stop the illusion effect from happening, but the color will be off. Because what happens, and when you spray illusion colors, you do the partial cure. You put them in the oven till flow out. 3 minutes after flow out, you pull them out. That's the general illusion guide. And then you let them cool, spray the clear, put them back in the oven for the full cure of the clear cycle. Like clear vision in this case, 375 degrees for 18 minutes. So if you put that over top of something, what ends up happening is when you put your illusion over, if you did it over a chrome base, you might be a little safer over chrome, but you're wasting the chrome doing this either way. Chrome's urethane, so it's not going to pull any color into it typically. But what happens is that the dye, the color of the illusion, ends up going down into the chrome and into the clear when you activate it with the clear. So you're not getting like you're not getting the true color, and you're definitely adding an extra layer of chrome for no reason, and you have the expensive chrome that you're doing for literally no reason. So illusion is a dormant candy. There's other dormant candies from other companies. Illusion line is the what Prismatic calls their dormant candy, but that should just be a 2-stage, not a 3-stage for anything. And I actually have a video coming out that's going to show you different ways to create different effects with the illusions using different types of clears. I've actually already shot and edited that video. I think it's set to upload on Tuesday or Wednesday, if I remember correctly, but I'll have to look and see. Do I have to wait to let it cool all the way down before I apply the next color? You should let it cool down. I mean, I say like once it's below 120 degrees, you're probably fine. What you don't want is to be spraying something where when the powder hits, it's like starting to flow out, especially on the illusion colors, because it drastically affects the color. When you're spraying it too hot, you'll typically get too much color, too much of the clear, which pulls out too much color, so it'll make like illusion purple, for example, will look much darker. It turns into like kind of a weird plum color. So just try to avoid it. And spraying hot is not necessary in almost any situation. I do it on a few very specific colors to create very specific effects, but the illusion line is not one that I do it on. Do I prime every part I do? No. I guess I just kind of covered that on accident a minute ago. What size is the oven? So the one that I use currently is basically 4x4x6 internally. It's a TED's fabrication. I think this is a base line oven. We added some other stuff to it at Ted's, but I think it started as a base oven. Drew, thanks so much for teaching us. Hey man, glad to hear it. Always stoked when people message me or write on here or whatever and let me know that they're watching videos and learning stuff. Okay, so Bobby and the Color Factory are both asking about Super Chrome. I don't know that it's going to be called Super Chrome or Super Chrome 2 necessarily. Super Chrome's gone through a bunch of variants, and they've always just left it called Super Chrome. So this would probably be like Super Chrome 4 or 5, ultimately. But it's... I can't tell you anything... I don't know the best way to explain this. The only other details, or the only details that I can tell you are ones that I've already told you. I talked to somebody from Prismatic literally every day. We were actually just texting right before this video. And as soon as I know more and I'm allowed to tell you guys and even show you guys, I'm going to. Like, trust me, I will be the first person... Bobby, I know that you called it Secret Chrome, but Color Factory called it Super Chrome 2. I will immediately, like the second that I get Chrome in hand, even if I have jobs that I'm in the middle of, I will stop and do spray outs so you guys can see the difference. I should have it before everybody else, according to my source. So we'll see if that happens. If it does, like I said, I mean, there'll be a video. If it wasn't in the middle of the day, because my UPS guy comes at like 10 in the morning, I would probably just jump live and do it live so you guys can see it. But that would be, it's kind of going to be a long video, and it wouldn't be super entertaining because you just want to see the results at the end. So, JS Coatings, can I buy, oh, Unicorn Pussy from me? Yeah, like I said, I'm just about to make it so other people can buy it. I think you guys are going to be surprised at kind of the application process, because it's definitely different than just like your general powder coating. I get to that a little more in the video that I said, you know, I started making. I still have some other parts that I'd like to do in that color to kind of finalize the video and show you guys. I'm actually, now that I've been doing it this way with Unicorn Pussy, I'm actually trying it with 2 other flakes that traditionally wouldn't be good for powder coating. The flake that I use for Unicorn Pussy is also not technically good for powder coating, so it works out great. Oh dang, I got a super chat. Thanks, JR Flores. Actually, I was going to tell you guys about the super chat and I forgot, but let's see. Jason. Oh yeah, see, Jason's the guy that I just did the S2000 valve cover. So I know I sent him some valve or some pictures and videos of it. Hoping I will see them on the car shortly, because that color, the Unicorn Pussy on video is nothing compared to what it is in real life. I mean, it's like most cool colors in powder coating. Video and pictures never do them justice. The depth and the amount of color. I know Sten in here, Sten approved, has seen Unicorn Pussy. Actually, he used to have Unicorn Pussy wheels. He's seen it in person, and he knows like it's so much different than everything else in its range. You know, City Lights, Rainbow's End. There was some other powder coater sort of back east somewhere that was making a color similar. I know Black Label Coatings makes a color similar as well. But this one has always been like the most vibrant. You can definitely see the most definition in the color, way more of the color than most of them. So you guys check it out. It'll be up here in the next couple days. There's also, I think, a video of it somewhere in my YouTube from kind of before I really started the channel. I don't think it's in an episode. It's before all the episodes, technically. What's the best way to powder coat bolts and powder coat that won't chip off using a socket and wrench? So I'll powder coat bolts, but I'll only do them single stage. I won't do multi-coat stuff on bolts for that exact reason. Typically you'll have issues with like the wrenches even fitting. There's a couple different ways. I have a jig. I wish I would have brought it. I would have showed you guys. I'll try to post a picture on the community page. It's one that I had made here. I have a sign shop at the other end of my building. So they... wait, did I just get another... Oh, I got another super chat. Hey, thanks, guys. I had them make this for me. I set up the file. I used to work in the sign industry, so I set up the file and they cut it on a router. For bolts, I do a lot of wheels, obviously. So I do 3-piece wheels and 3-piece wheel bolts. I coat a lot of. I made this little jig, and it's a piece of metal with a bunch of holes that you can drop the bolts through, but it catches on the head. And what it actually does, there's a plate underneath it, so it sits underneath, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches. And so it keeps the head from actually touching the top plate. And then I just wrap foil around the outside to stop all the powder from getting to the thread. This is a terrible way of trying to describe this, but then I drop all the bolts through that and hook it to a ground and powder coat it up. Another great way is you can take a piece of cardboard. I tend to wrap foil over the top of it and then poke holes through it. I use a screwdriver roughly the same size as the bolts, and then drop all the bolts down through that, and then wrap foil on the backside. Or you don't have to wrap foil on the backside. You can also just powder coat it and then blow it off with air, all the threaded areas, just so you don't have to worry about it on the back. The foil helps for a couple reasons. It typically will, the cardboard is going to burn. You're going to smell burning cardboard. It's not going to catch on fire, but you're going to smell it. But it stops the bolts from sticking to the cardboard, and when you pull them up, it rips up pieces of the cardboard. You'll get little pieces of foil, but the foil comes off much easier than the cardboard, obviously. And the cardboard allows you to create a good ground. The foil allows you to create a good ground. The cardboard technically will ground out, but the foil just makes your life much easier. You just clip the ground onto the foil and call it good. Oh, and then as far as chipping, nothing. I mean, you just got to be careful with that type of stuff. I mean, if you're doing it in single stage, it shouldn't be chipping anyway. But that doesn't mean you can do a set of lug nuts and then go use an impact on it and expect it to hold up. I mean, I have lug nuts that I've used impacts on and they've been fine, but I'm also like pretty careful. Like I'm saying, if you go to like some generic tire shop and they just like blast at it with a impact, it's not going to hold up no matter what. You got to remember that's a ton of force, metal on metal, trying to smash plastic, so you can't expect much. Good question. Yeah, Sten's making a joke about people in the industry. There was a long-running joke that unicorn pussy was just Rainbow's End, and then a local coder said, "Oh, well, that's, you know, it's unicorn pussy, but what we call it in the industry is Rainbow's End," or something like that. It's a powder coating company, ironically, that's now out of business. So, I had money green with Casper Clear trim black. Was it way over cured? So two things. It was you probably had way too much Casper Clear, and yes, it was probably way over cured. Because money green's an awesome color, and I've done Casper Clear over it numerous times. One thing you got to remember with Casper, on specific colors, it'll actually make it significantly darker. Casper, being a matte clear, diffuses light before it gets down to the source. So say you're doing green, well, money green has a ton of metallic in it. That metallic is creating, you know, the light hitting that metallic is creating the kind of the brightness of the color. So when you're eliminating some of that light, you're eliminating a lot of the color with that as well. It's not going to make it crazy dark. It's not going to make it black. You know, obviously something else went wrong. But it will make it darker. So that's why I always advise, I mean, spraying on, you know, a test panel or a bottle. Like I mentioned in the last video that I posted, I use these Budweiser, these aluminum bottles. They're great for testing colors. So you'll actually see a bunch of the bottles coming up in one of the videos, because I did a video showing the different effects of different clears, whether they have metallics or matte clears, you know, flat clear, satin clear, gloss clear, over candies or solid tones or metallics or even some of the illusion. So it's actually, it sucks because it's a long video. I think I'm gonna have to break it into 2 parts because it's like 47 minutes edited. So I'm gonna try to break it into 2 segments, just so because watching 47 minutes of video sucks. I say that as I've been on here for almost an hour. But Brandon, yeah, it was likely way over cured and probably too much Casper Clear. You'll notice if you do that on a lighter color, the Casper Clear will milk everything out. It gets really milky and terrible looking, except on like grays. It doesn't do that on. Blacks, it does do it on. It's kind of weird. Where'd you get your vast knowledge of powder coating from? Yeah, it's literally... Patrick, when I first started, I went, you know, this was back when forums were a thing and people got on forums all the time. I think I used to get on Powder 365's forum, and I just read a lot. But most of what I did is just trial and error. When I first started, I got, you know, my notoriety or you know, fame locally. I'm not famous by any means, but people started bringing my name up a lot more because I was doing stuff with powder that other companies locally weren't doing, or a lot of them just weren't willing to try it. I bought a bunch of 1 pound bags of powder from Prismatic. I actually kind of lucked out when I first went to buy powder. I got on eBay because I didn't even know about like Prismatic existing or anything, and I did buy it now on some powder, and then I realized that the person said that they were in Utah, and I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, is there any way that I can just come?" Because I bought it on like a Friday, and you know, being anxious, I of course wanted to start powder coating like right now. So I contacted the person. I was like, "Hey, I saw that you're in Utah. Is it possible if I can just come pick this up?" And she gave me her address, and she lived a couple doors away from me, literally a couple houses away from me in Harriman, Utah. So I lucked out a ton. She basically was just like a reseller. She would buy big box powder, bag it, and sell it. And she had a bunch of really cool colors, and I went and bought a bunch from her and just trial and error just for days. She would give me sample bags, like when she would get down to the bottom of a bag and, you know, that wouldn't be quite enough for a pound or whatever. She would just give me that stuff all the time. And man, I was powder coating everything. I had powder coated. I was taking anything in my garage that was metal and powder coating it, like literally everything. So trial and error, man.
man. I'm telling you, it's like there is no better way. You can read a bunch, but until you're out there doing it, like that reading's not doing anybody any good. Most of my reading would be I would try something and it didn't work, and I would see if anybody else had a similar experience and maybe what they did to fix it. But I just started blazing through stuff and trying to figure out new things. You know, like when I did flat candy colors for the first time, I said, and I think in another video or maybe another live, like I'm sure I'm not the first person to have ever done it with powder, but I know that I was the first person that started getting a bunch of notoriety because my pictures were being shared all over of doing different flat candies. So, and that gets covered in one of the upcoming videos that I have showing what different clears do over stuff. So, how did Flake from Columbia to my powder? No, I've only added Flake. Paintwithpearl.com I've bought some from, and then the lady who I just mentioned, she has given, or used to sell powder, she had given me probably 20 different like Flake samples, and I'd mixed them with different stuff, but I was never like super in love with the results, honestly. Like they were just kind of whatever to me. You can mix some flakes into stuff, but a lot of it literally just looks like a child poured glitter into it. You know, like it's not giving you the cool metallic effect. It's just like, oh, well, now there's a bunch of blue speckles in my powder. You know, like a lot of the times it doesn't look that great. Maybe that's the thing. I actually have a bunch of random flake here. I maybe could add some in my video for color mixing and compatibility video that I'm doing that shows like what you can and can't mix together, and I'm guessing on a bunch of those too. I'm just gonna grab some powders and see what happens when you mix them, or spray them over top of each other. Maybe I'll add some flakes to that and see what happens. Oh, whoa, this thing just jumped. Thank you. You added for illusion purple, and yeah, thanks. Yeah, JR, just make sure like it's a 2-stage, man. You don't have to put the chrome down. It's its own base. Sten's agreeing that Unicorn Pussy is the coolest. Thanks again, you guys, for the super chats. It's awesome of you. Wyatt K, I'm having problems spraying prismatic translucent orange. Yeah, you're gonna keep having a problem with it. Oranges and yellows, man, golds, whatever you want to call them at that point, are a nightmare. I'm guessing that you're having issues, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing you're having issues where the color is incredibly uneven and it's edge building like a mofo. Like you're getting every edge, you're getting a ton of powder. Let me know here. I'll follow up with your question if you can answer that. Oh yeah, JS, it didn't add a message, but you can totally add a message anytime, obviously. Jackhammer, hi, love your channel. Cool Coat HD, just got myself when I haven't had a chance to unbox it yet. But what are you doing, man? Like, I wouldn't even been here watching this. I'd be out unboxing it and spraying everything I could. I have coated with one Cool Coat HD. I think another local to me actually has one. Oh no, he has a Hyper Smooth, I think. Now I can't remember. I've sprayed with one very briefly, and I have not sprayed with it since. So I don't have any real thoughts on it. My experience with it is pretty limited. Bobby, I should copyright which name? Unicorn Pussy. So the thing that's complicated is when I make colors for people, which I have probably 8 colors that I've made for people now. I let the people pick the name of the color, so it would be weird for me to copyright it at this point. Some other powder coaters, it's been tagged on Instagram a couple times by other powder coaters, and luckily there's enough people in the industry kind of know me to tag me and be like, dude, like that's not Unicorn Pussy, this is the only person that does it. Which I won't be able to say for long. You guys are gonna be able to do Unicorn Pussy here soon enough. Well, those of you that want to, of course. The uncomfortable part about Unicorn Pussy is explaining to somebody who, like I'm mostly an adult, but I act like a child most of the time. But to say Unicorn Pussy with this, if they ask about a color, like an actual, like what I call a real adult, I don't know what that means, but somebody that's more adult than I am, to explain to them what, tell them, oh, that color is Unicorn Pussy, is always slightly uncomfortable. Or for some reason saying it to a girl, this makes me feel uncomfortable, and I don't think, I think it's because I don't want a girl to think that I'm like being weird or whatever, but it's just the name of it, Luckily, you can find it enough online when you search for it that like it's verified. I'm not being a weird ass one.
Andrew, you like long videos? Well, yeah, the problem with long videos, man, is like when I look on my results. Oh yeah, everybody that's in here, I was supposed to remind you to do this on my notes. If everybody in here could hit a like for this video, that would be super obvious or super awesome. I'm trying to get a video up over 200 likes, like I've mentioned, I think in the last couple of videos. So I know that I don't know how many people are in here right now. Enough. Hopefully some of you guys, where is that? Oh, there it is. Can hit the like button. I think there's like 40 something people in here. So we should be able to get at least 40 likes in theory. The problem with long videos is that people, like according to the analytics that I see, people don't like long videos. Most of my videos I try to keep between 10 and 15 minutes because that's kind of like the golden time that like most people like sitting and watching a video for 15 minutes is a lot easier than sitting and watching one for 27 minutes. So that's why my video yesterday I was kind of bummed out. It was way too long. But it was one project and it had to be kind of long because I was explaining things the whole time. So you mentioned aluminum bottles. You can't blast those though. You can if you use real low pressure. I tend to not blast them. I dip them in. I literally, put a glove on, dip one in chemical stripper for 5 seconds, pull it out, rinse it off, and it's ready to go. I usually will wipe it down with acetone just to make sure that there's nothing on it or like a paint prep, any sort of like automotive paint prep. You're just trying to make sure you get all the chemicals off of it. I don't need to sandblast it. They're demo bottles that just sit in my showroom, so I'm not really worried about like them being damaged or impacted or anything wild like that. And if something happens to them, I just respray them. It's not a big deal. Speaking about clears, is adding a clear a preference or recommended on top of certain coats? I mean, certain colors require a clear. They have a low UV resistance or whatever, or low chemical resistance. Some of them. Metallics, I prefer putting clear over metallic, but I let the customer decide if they want to pay the difference. Metallics with a clear over them always look better. A gloss clear, if you're doing like a matte clear, satin clear to get an effect, that's one thing. But if you want to see like the real like coolness and like depth of a metallic, a clear makes a huge difference. A lot of people will clear everything, and a lot of people will even clear like gloss black. I don't do that unless somebody asks for it. I have demo pieces that I can show people like, hey, this is black on its own and this is black with clear. This is the difference in price, and most people just want the black without the clear. So definitely have it an option. You don't have to have, if you're going to say you're going to do bottles like I use, it's not like you have to have every single one with clear options on top of that as well. You could have general ones, like say you have a single, Speedway black, which is like a gunmetal color. Have a bottle that's just the Speedway black, and then have one that has Speedway black with Casper clear, and then one that has Speedway black with clear vision or whatever gloss clear, just so you can show people the difference in how the clears affect things. That usually gives people enough visual representation that you can help pick a color that way, or they can help you pick a color or whatever. Speaking about clear, let's see, where do you get your flake from? So the only time that I've bought flake, with the exception of Unicorn Pussy, I just skipped way too far. The only place that I've bought flake from, like I said, is paintwithpearl.com. Unicorn Pussy literally comes from a place in China. The flake for it comes from a place in China. And I don't even have a name of the place. I just contact them through email. But Paint with Pearl, they have some ones that they actually say are good. They'll say if they're good for powder coating or not based on temperature. A lot of flakes can't take 400 degrees. The color burns out of them, so you end up just with like a dull silver flake instead of a blue or red or glitter, rainbow colored flake, whatever you were going for before. What's your outgassing process? The outgassing process is typically 50 degrees higher than whatever the cure cycle will be for that color, whatever I'm going to do. I typically just do it at 450 degrees as like a general thing. And then, I always let everything cool down before powdering. There's some stuff I spray hot, but it's very specific colors, and it's usually a top coat of some kind that I'm doing. I actually have a video that's, I want to say it's tomorrow's video. I've already scheduled all these for upload, so I think it's tomorrow's video that's like
how bad is spraying? Oh no, it's not. It's Thursday. Thursday is how bad is spraying hot. So I do a test to show you the different finishes. Spraying. I think I sprayed mirror black hot versus cold, or whatever you want to call it, and then I use a mill thickness gauge to show you how thick it is, because it's supposed to be within a certain range, and the gloss level and kind of issues that you can run into spraying hot, or issues that you can run into spraying cold. So there's some benefits of spraying hot, but if you're not really dialed in with what you're doing, it's too risky. And if your equipment's decent, you don't need to spray hot most of the time. So like I said, the stuff I spray hot is to create a very specific effect most of the time. So I'm not a big fan of flakes. Billy, are you asking what Super Chat is? Super Chat is just like a thing where you can basically donate money to me, I guess. I don't know. It keeps your thing highlighted, so if you have a question, it pops up. I'm trying to answer everybody's questions, so right now maybe it's not going to be that great. I actually have a plan for the next live for Super Chats. I'm going to be, anybody who donates a certain amount in the Super Chat or over, I'm going to be sending out these wristlet things too, in various colors. My hand looks real creepy in this thing right now, but and I have stickers and some other stuff that I'm going to be sending out. I'm actually going to be including some of that stuff with the giveaway stuff here, which we're going to do in just a minute. Kevin, hell yeah to the orange, uneven and too thick on edges. Yeah, yellows and oranges, man, or copper or whatever. Those ones they're just finicky. I think it's called Trans Copper 2 from Prismatic, is the most forgiving translucent orange color that I've ever dealt with. You can see very clearly how well it's laying. It doesn't have the edge building issues and things. It's pretty consistent, versus some of the other colors are just a nightmare. Some of them, people ask me to do them and I just tell them no. I'd rather turn away the business than do a job that I'm not happy with. It's not worth the risk to me. It's I don't want to give you a part that I don't think looks great. So it says we have 59 people in here, but we only have 31 likes. Y'all should definitely go hit the like button and make me at least smile at some point. Starting out, want to know which powder coating. Phil Vargas, it's really going to depend on your budget, man. I don't want to harp on the videos that I'm making that are going to do the gun comparison stuff, just because I'm not done with them yet, and I keep talking about them. Oh, I'm reading the rest of this. So it's really going to depend on your budget, man. If you want, I don't know if you're comfortable posting your budget in here for a gun, but if you are, I can definitely kind of point you in the right direction. So, Mark, I don't like propane ovens at all, for a number of different reasons. Most of the homemade propane ovens, you're essentially blowing, propane is not the cleanest burning thing on the planet, for one. And you're literally just blowing dirty air into your oven constantly. If you ever look at true gas ovens, they all have burner boxes. The flame's not exposed to the parts, and there's not wind created by the flames. A lot of the homemade kind of random setups that I've seen have all been taking just a crappy, a garage heater and blowing heat into it. And I'm not saying that can't work. I'm just saying that there are ways to do it that are right, and there are ways to do it that I would never in my life consider. So if you're doing it right and get away with it, it's fine. I prefer electric. The fire codes, in my building, mine's considered an appliance. Just plug it in, and that's it. So they don't even look at it. If it was a gas oven, I have to have a pretty intricate fire system that's directly associated with just the oven, not just the fire system that's already in the building. But that varies from location to location too. So do you know if Spectracoat's tips will fit hypersmooth guns? I don't. I have no idea. If you can find a measurement for Spectracoat stuff, I can compare it to hypersmooth stuff. Hypersmooth, depending on what gun you're using, also uses different tips, but I don't know if they're directly cross-relatable. Cross-relatable, that's probably not a proper term. How did I come up with the name for what, Andrew? The name, is that Unicorn Pussy, or is, I don't know what you're asking, or is it my name? Let me know. I'll answer that whenever you answer. The opposite, edges won't stick at all. Oh, well, oh yeah, if you're using like a low-end gun, man, that's gonna be a tough color. It's gonna be, yeah, there's just not enough adjustability in those guns. I wouldn't even think it's a grounding issue. It's more just a gun issue. You can't get enough. Essentially, you can't get enough KV into the powder leaving the gun. You can try spraying it warm, but spraying those colors warm never turns out well. I mean, warm, like actually warm, not hot. Like legitimately spray them warm. Let's see. Maybe I missed this. When is this? I don't know when I'm gonna. I mean, I'm working on the gun comparison videos as fast as I can. I wish that. I mean, I know that by the time you guys see the series, which I think we figured out initially was going to be 4 parts, now it's 6 parts, and then we're looking at it and actually probably gonna have to be broken up into 8 separate parts, 8 roughly 20 to 25 minute videos. It's super involved. I started this out initially was going to be with 5 guns, ended up with 9, and it's kind of a nightmare process. And I'm not saying that in a negative way or that I don't even want to be doing it. I want to do it fully. I don't want it to be like half-assed. I want like a true full comparison of everything. We're obviously not gonna be able to test like longevity of the guns in comparison to one another, and I'm not gonna be able to test the longevity of the powder application necessarily, but assuming that I'm using the same powder for everything, that shouldn't be a variable, I hope. Whoa, every time I move this it jumps like way too many. JS coatings, that's one major issue why Eastwood guns are trash, all of them. Yeah, I mean, if you're in here and you're using an Eastwood gun, I mean, I'm sorry, but they're garbage. I mean, I tried to buy one for my gun comparison, and the second they found out it was for my gun comparison, they refunded my money. So that should tell you pretty much everything you need to know if a company won't even stay. And I wasn't getting a discounted gun or anything. I was paying full price. I bought it off a link off of Facebook. You know, so their guns are trash. None of their products. I mean, they have some stuff that you can use not in the powder coating world that I think are really useful. They have some tools, I think, but you could probably find that same tool on Amazon for the same price or better. Is there a way to get rim strip even though I'm not a business? No, they are not. So the biggest issue that you're going to run into with any of the chemical strippers that use methylene chloride as the base is the EPA is actually who's restricting you from getting that. It's not the company themselves. The company themselves is telling you no because they have to answer to the EPA. The EPA changed we changed some laws surrounding the EPA in regards to methylene chloride back in November. And so even if you go, to Home Depot, the chemical strippers that you used to get there, they don't have any, I don't know why this thing's making noise. It's supposed to not make noise. They don't have any methylene chloride in them anymore, which essentially means they don't work anymore. So, methylene chloride's a brutal chemical. It's not to be played with, and that's why I think they're so. And it's not good for the environment. It's really terrible for the environment. So that's why they're so weird about it. How often do you replace your silicone plugs, and how much life do you get out of them? I get a kit like the kit that we're about to give away. Like I get a kit like that every couple months, maybe. The thing about silicone plugs, as long as you get the powder off of them after each use, they're fine. I mean, they'll last pretty much as long as you need them to, and don't overheat them. Silicone plugs, most of them are good to like 450 degrees or so before they start to get weird and like wonky and warped. But as long as you're keeping the powder off of them and keep them decently clean, they'll last you a long time. I could probably, if I wanted to make it work, I could use them for 2 years without any real issue. Dave Van Honk, why don't I use primer in general or on specific things? I don't use primer in general because it's not. In the automotive world, you use primer to prep a surface
to take paint, basically. Powder doesn't rely on that. Powder, we're using a mechanical bond, not a chemical bond. So, we sandblast to get powder to adhere to something. So there's no point in using primer. Primer I use on some steel stuff. Depends on the type of steel. I just did a bumper in stainless steel that I did not use primer on because it was made of stainless. But on most steel stuff, I use primer. If it's going to be an outdoor exposed type thing, obviously. You did a video of things you don't usually coat. What kind of jobs do you turn down? I don't do any production work. And I'm not telling you guys not to do production work. There's a lot of great money to be made in it. I really like my job, and I don't want to dislike my job. And I know that if I had to sit and do production work constantly, I would hate my job. So I turn away a lot of production work. People who haggle with price. If you haggle with me over the price of anything that I offer, I just tell you I can't do your project. Like I don't negotiate pricing. I know what it costs. I know, I posted something on Facebook the other day. It was like, my prices are based on my talent, not your budget. I don't see any reason the way that I see it, if you're negotiating on price, that customer is probably going to be a pain in the ass. And I'd rather not have. I try to limit my number of pain in the ass customers. I don't handle customer service the same way as a lot of people think that I should. If you're a customer and you try to give me an attitude, like I'm likely to give one back, but in a much more humorous way. So I try to avoid those situations as much as possible because I don't really like doing it. I don't like having to get into altercations with people in any way. So stuff like that. I mean, that's mostly and jobs. If somebody brings me a job and I just don't want to do it, you want me to do your chairs for your garden or whatever in, some black, silver vein or whatever, some generic garden type color. I don't enjoy projects like that, so I'll just say no. And that's not to say that I enjoy every single project that I do, but I try to do projects that I like. And if I have an existing customer bring me something that I would normally say no to, I'll typically say yes to them, just because it's like, well, I don't want them to have to go look for another powder coater after they've already enjoyed their experience with me. But besides that, I just kind of pick and choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do. If you're starting out, if you're comfortable doing the job, I totally encourage you to do it. I'm luckily in a position where I can turn down work all day and still have plenty of work to do. No, that's not the case for everybody. So, how do you solve Faraday Cage problems? Man, I have so few Faraday Cage problems, but 90% of the issue that I see in Faraday cages is just a grounding issue. If I'm doing a part and I have a weird Faraday cage somewhere on the part, 9 times out of 10, I can just take my clip and move it somewhere else on that part, and that Faraday cage goes away immediately. Beyond that, it's gun adjustment normally. You can any gun adjustment that you might have. I actually have this weird thing. Oh, I brought one of these hoppers. At some point, I'll have to show somebody about these hoppers because I know a couple people asked me how to make these. I will actually shake my hopper. This sounds so weird. When I'm having a weird Faraday cage area, I will shake the hopper as I'm spraying. You might actually have seen me do it in videos. I don't typically mention that I'm doing it, but you might see it. And I'll spray that specific area and it covers it right away almost every time. I don't know if it's because it fluidizes the powder so much better when I shake it up, but that's a little trick if you're having an issue and you have a hopper as opposed to like a box feed. You're not gonna be able to do that with a box feed, obviously. But with a box feed, you can just turn up your air supply to the box feed and probably get the same effect. But I pick up this thing and just shake it, and it works like a champ. Kevin, yeah, tell him, hit that like. What is it? I keep seeing message retracted. Is that just people that are deleting their message? God, every time I touch this mouse, it drops down to the very bottom.
How good will powder hold up on an engine block, or high temp spray paint or Cerakote be best? Realistically, if you have the option, like if they're not looking for like a wild color, Cerakote's a great option. I mean, Cerakote, they make quite a few colors in, but let's be honest, most of them aren't that great looking. I've powder coated dozens of engine blocks. Engine blocks are scary to people as far as powder coating. I don't think they're that bad. I just mount them to an engine stand and use an engine hoist to lift up the entire stand and set it in the oven. If you have a roll-in oven, you can just push it in, obviously. But I powder coated them numerous times to sandblast them, tape areas that if you need to tape before sandblasting, of course. I usually I get them hot tanked, sandblasted, powder coat, and then send them off to machining. The way that they're mounting them for machining is not typically going to affect your powder coat. They're going to machine them and then hot tank them again, which is going to do the cleaning that you needed to do. The machining is going to take care of issues if you didn't mask everything properly or whatever. So I don't know. I say it holds up fine. Cerakote, as far as ease, is much easier. I mean, high temp spray paint, I've done it before. I used to do that on all my motors. It works. If you have the option to also Cerakote it, like, why wouldn't you just Cerakote it? You know, Cerakote's definitely going to hold up better, but the prep work for Cerakote's going to be much more involved than spray paint. You know, spray paint, you can just clean it, essentially. How much do you charge for calipers? So my base price for calipers is basically $300 for a set, and that's assuming that they show up to me disassembled. And that's single stage color, set of 4. There's tons of variables beyond that. I mean, I've charged as much as $800 for a set of calipers. It really depends on what you end up doing. Andrew, for your unicorn pussy. I didn't pick the color. So I made this color technically for somebody else, and she, oddly enough, she picked the name of this. She started with unicorn. I want to say she called it unicorn snot or something ridiculous, equally as ridiculous. And then she texted me like 2 hours later with unicorn pussy, and I was like, all right, well, it's unicorn pussy then. I like the name. It made me giggle. Only good part about my Eastwood DV is that it got me started powder coating. Yeah, I mean, I've heard some good things about the Eastwood. Like, if you're gonna spend $100 or whatever on a gun, like an Eastwood dual voltage, I think is $100 ish. That's probably a good start. I don't know if there's any other ones that are like in that range. You know what I mean? So unless you're like willing to step up to like, you know, $500, I think it's $500 now or something like that, you can get a Hyper Smooth 02, the original one. Same one I use in theory. I think there's variants to it now, but it's not quite the same. Fluidizer is actually worth the investment. It depends. I would say it depends on the gun. I would say ultimately it helps probably, but some of the fluidizing hoppers that I've seen that are like $400, no, absolutely not. This is the hoppers that I use. Let me make sure. Let me pull this up and make sure I can actually see, or you guys can see this well. Yeah. So these are the ones that I use. I know somebody asked me online about doing this. I probably should have blown this out first. So the new style of these hoppers, I believe, only has one hose, or one of these hoses is significantly shorter, and they're not intentionally set. I don't know if you can tell on this one. These are just set to blow this in a circle, and then the hose that powder comes up through has holes drilled through it, and then the hole at the bottom, obviously, because it's just like a piece of piping. But these are all just like 1/4 inch push lock, generic ass, you know, and this is a 3/8 barb fitting to some 3/8 like PVC piping type stuff. These push lock fittings you can get at any like local hose place. We have Evco here locally, or I think it's called Eric's now, and then Hose and Rubber Supply is another one. But you can just walk in there and buy them, or you can buy that stuff online. They're just called push lock fittings, and they're push lock in the sense that you can just push down and unlock them, and then when you want to put the hose back in, you push it in, and now it's locked in place. So the new variants of these, I've had numerous people ask me about these because they see how much better mine works. I don't know why they went to the new style. They cost, I assume, the same amount of money looking at them as far as how they're built. If you can convert yours to something like this, or one of them, say you have 5 hoppers, convert one of them and see if you like this one better, or this style better, because I had a local powder coat buddy he has the new style, and he saw mine and was like, dude, yours is different than mine and yours works way better. Well, he went and turned one of his and it works significantly better. So that's one person. Not saying that's the be all end all necessarily, but it at least gives you an idea to mess with them. Or you can buy these jars. I know Columbia sells these for a few bucks. You can find them online as well for even less. Just this, or you can buy the whole unit. I think the whole unit's like 18 or 20 bucks. But I don't know if they sell the old ones, the old style like mine. So you might just have to buy one of these, like, 1 pound hopper jars, whatever, and then build your own with a couple pieces. This stuff to do all this is only a couple bucks. So, I mean, they're literally like hot glued in place essentially. So, let's see. Damn it, I just skipped this again. This is so frustrating that moves this. Oh shoot, let's see. Glad I reached out to you via Instagram before I attempted to buy one. Much appreciated. Yeah, the Eastwood stuff, man, like, I tell people to avoid it. I mean, if you're starting out, you want to buy that cheap gun that they have to see if you want to do this, cool, but don't spend $800, $900, $1,000 on this gun that they pretend is a pro gun. Even if you watch their videos, their advertising videos, half the stuff they're spraying hot. You can see the powder flow out as soon as it touches it. It's like, well, how good is your gun if you got to spray everything hot? And they call it a pro level gun, which it's nowhere near. It's not even a hobby level gun. It's below hobby level. It sucks. Any suggestions, stripper, from a big box store that actually works? No, they don't make one anymore. There's a couple companies that sell ones that aren't super toxic, that don't have methylene chloride. They take a little bit longer, or they have to be heated. I can't think of the name of any of them right now, but maybe somebody in the, maybe somebody in here can mention it. But there are some that are, instead of going, I can put a wheel in for 10 minutes and stripped, versus these ones maybe will be 2 hours, but they're not hazardous, which if you're gonna have them around your house is ideal, obviously, and they don't smell nearly as bad as this one. Any suggestions? Oh, let's see, I already read that one. Not sure if you already said it, but what are the guns that are going to be in it? Man, so there's a Hypersmooth 02, an 02 LED, an 03, a Gemma Optiflex 2, the new HD Hypersmooth, and then 3 Chinese guns that are all replicas of the Gemma. I'm missing 2. I don't know. There's the only like big brand name besides the one like the Hypersmooth stuff is the Gemma. Everything else is a Chinese gun that replicas of Gemmas. So I was trying to get a Wagner, but I couldn't get anybody to like send me one that I could send back, or because I didn't want to buy one for a gun comparison. Buying a $4,300 gun for a gun comparison seemed unreasonable. But I mean, the way you guys keep doing these super chats, that might change. Feel me? So, this guy just said talk about Faraday Cage. I think I already did that. Sorry, I should have been more specific. I'm starting out. My budget's about $800. Phil, so for $800, I would definitely jump into like a Hypersmooth. I know that there are people who have a Hypersmooth 02 like mine that are not having the same success with it that I am. I would say a part of that is probably the hopper design, which I just covered. I love that gun. I love it. I've never had to do anything to it. Needed no parts serviced. I mean, it's been amazing the entire time. So I would do that. You're gonna have a couple $100 left over. You can actually get a better version of that gun. I think it's $500 to buy that gun. So for $800, you might be able to get like a slightly upgraded version of that one, or buy some extra stuff to give it a whirl. JS Coatings, do you Cerakote? Yeah, I do Cerakote. I don't think I've ever posted videos of it. I've done it kind of forever. If so, ever done anything that's plastic? Yeah, I did some pieces for a firearm in their firearm coating that were plastic, and then I did I want to say I did an LS intake, GM, LS intake manifold that was plastic in Cerakote. Most everything I do is for exhaust, though. Like I don't do a ton of Cerakote outside of the exhaust or exhaust housings for turbos. I do their heat dissipation coating on intercoolers, radiators, things like that. Do a lot of stuff for like random race cars, heat dissipation wise. How long did you coat for until you got to quit your old job, or let's got to the point of getting your main hustle? I would say 6 months. No. I cut it for 6 months before I did it for anybody else. And then when it became like what I was doing was, what would have been March, so 3 months, 3.5 months. I talked about this, I think, in another live, so I'll tell it again kind of briefly. I lucked out super hard. I did a set of wheels for a GTR, which at the time that was a brand new car. The GTRs were new, so it was rare to be doing something like that. But I did some wheels for a GTR, and he had kind of a tie-in with a local wheel place who was looking for a new powder coater. They came to me, and you know, if it wasn't for them, it would have taken me a lot longer to quit my job. They were doing numerous sets of wheels a week through me, and that allowed me to quit my regular job pretty quickly at that point. How do you feel? What time is it? All right, we're gonna have to wrap this up here pretty quick because I'm gonna have to leave. But I have we have to do the giveaway too, so we can get through these. How do you feel about Spectracoat System? I know it's apples to oranges to you, but have you thought? No, I don't know too much about them. I mean, they look very similar to most of the other, you know, the Hyper Smooth or Cool Coat, some of that stuff. They all look basically the same. I'm guessing that they are very similar. I don't have any experience with them personally, so I can't say too much about it. Hey Wyatt, thanks for the super chat here. Hate Eastwood products too, but I figured this POS would do the job. Just powder coating metal signs I cut out on my CNC. Yeah, I mean, that for flat stuff, yeah, I would say the Eastwood stuff probably works like a champ. It's just when you start getting intricate, you start getting corners and stuff where you're going to have Faraday areas that Eastwood stands no chance. For doing what you're doing, yeah, it's probably a perfect gun. Definitely better than like the Harbor Freight, you know, $60 thing or whatever. You know what gun, actually, this is so funny. There's a great gun, and I don't think that they still make it, but you can try to look and see. I know that there were still some for sale around. Craftsman and Summit Racing actually sells a gun that looks exactly the same. It's just a different color. I'm sure it's made the same way, the same place. Craftsman used to have a gun that you like loaded powder into this little thing that like you stuck on the gun, and it looked like a drill. It was super weird. And it used like a fan inside to blow the powder out as opposed to like compressed air. That gun, surprisingly, I think it's like $50. That gun actually works fairly well for non-intricate parts. It just has like a little ground box thing that comes off of it. It works pretty well. You're not going to get anything real wild out of it, but is it just me? Is New Columbia getting the same gun from Colo? Is that Devin? Are you talking about the new HD, or it's probably not the same? As far as I know, the Columbia stuff is all made in America, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know at all if that's true. I think it is though, and the Colo stuff's all Chinese. Do you have tips for the vein coatings? So veins are weird. You just gotta spray them heavy. Veins like wrinkles and some of the textures and stuff, you have to spray them heavy or they don't work. That's the best tip that I can give you. They normally lay pretty easy. Are you having an issue with it or something? Maybe I need a more detailed question because I can't give you the answer I need. Have you ever tried to make your own hoppers? Yeah, a bunch of mine are made. Actually, this one is made. So I literally just copied out, and I have fixed hoppers. I mean, some of these hoppers I've had for 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. So I've had to fix them, which is, same process. It's simple. I would definitely recommend making something like this if you can go out and spend $20 and make one of these, this style. At least give it a try. I mean, if not, you're out $20 and some time, and I guess I apologize, but if you're asking me, it's definitely worth it. Jesus underestimated. Hey man, everybody, you got to start somewhere. I'm not shitting on anybody trying to start. So I'm just saying, for me, like, Eastwood is notoriously weird about their stuff, and I don't understand how they charge what they do, and I don't understand how they make a lot of the claims that they do. That's one of the ones that really bothers me. Claiming that new gun is like the PCS 1000 is like a pro unit. It's not even close. I mean, it seems like a thing that they shouldn't even be able to advertise, but that's not how advertising works. I bet the replicas perform the same as the expensive ones. Kevin, that's probably the case. the worry with a lot of the Chinese units is like, oh, well, you're not going to get the parts. Well, it's like, well, it comes with a bunch of extra parts. All the stuff that you would maybe need to replace that's not like a, electrical part inside the box. And when I say they're similar to the Gemma units, I mean they're so similar that you can use Gemma parts. I know for a fact that you can interchange the tips, that you can interchange the guns. The guns are literally the same part number. It says right on the gun the same part number. So I'm guessing that they'll be the same for a third of the price. So, or not quite a third, close to that. But HSO2, I think it's really nice. I'm still learning, but the coverage is no problem with it. Yeah, Steve, like, they're great guns, man. Like, I know that there's people that have not had the same success I have with mine, but there's got to be some other issues in that, because the gun is doing everything it needs to do. I've never had any issues. Seems in the gun, I think what the wrong things, but I start powder gun. Nah, you'll learn. Here's the thing. You're gonna start somewhere. You're not going to get everything. I didn't get everything right. The first gun I ever bought was a Harbor Freight gun. I threw it away, I don't know, 2 weeks after buying it, something like that. But I mean, you're going to learn over time. It's not like you bought the wrong gun and now you've like ruined your potential for powder coating. You'll learn, and admittedly, using a crappy gun and learning, you'll at least be able to see the differences and go into a slightly better gun and see how much better it is, to see if you want to go to the next step, when you're in a position to do that. Craftsman gun, that's what I learned on. Yeah, Kevin, that gun is pretty cool. I mean, like, it's not great for doing like intricate parts by any means, and it doesn't hold crap for powder. I mean, it literally holds, I would guess it's not even a quarter pound of powder. But TLR silver. I haven't seen the Cool Coat 171. I guess I could pull it up right now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does look painfully similar. At least this one's different colors. But how much is this one? Yeah, $2,400. It's probably the same. Looks identical. The colors are different. But beyond that, it looks identical. So I would guess it's probably a Colo or represented the same way. Best media to use to start sandblasting. So I use 3060 green diamond. It's local to me. It's a couple minute drive. Go grab it. It's cheap. It's, I think $13 or something like that for 100 pounds. And works like a champ. It's not available everywhere. There's some info, I think, in the description of this video. There's a link you can go and see if they have it in your area, or if you want to buy it in bulk, which if you're starting, you definitely don't want to do. But if you want to buy it in bulk, they'll also send it out to you in giant bags or on pallets. Pricing is definitely the hardest for me. What do you charge for 20-inch wheels, single stage versus illusion colors? So single stage 20s for me, I'd be at $320 a set. That's very location specific though. I mean, the state next to us, they charge not like $100 more than I charge for the exact same thing. Illusion colors, you'd be at $420 to do a 2-stage. So just add $100. Cool Coat Omega looks identical to the Colo gun, just in black. I don't know where the... Oh, wait, where do you see the Cool Coat Omega? Industrial hopper. I don't see an Omega. Is that the DPW? The one that looks like a Colo is the box feed system. They have a hopper. Yeah, this has to be the exact same as a Colo. It has to be. Just looking at these other pictures of it. Yeah, the Colo guys, great support. I know somebody was saying that they were going to start, they were going to be selling these guns. They were going to be like the U.S. distributor. Another powder coating channel said that they were going to be the U.S. distributor. It's like, well, I bought my Colo from a U.S. distributor. So, I got mine in 3 days. So I've actually I'm working with a company right now debating working with them to release a gun under a brand name that I have, but it's literally basically just a replica of one of the Optiflex units, Optiflex 2s. So The only real difference would be in the colors that I pick. Probably no different than what Cool Coat has going on or Columbia has going with these new Cool Coats. Wish I could get green diamond here in South Florida. Yeah, Drew, I don't know, man. Like, there's some. You can look on their site and see. I know that they have people that sell it, but I don't know. I don't know who any of them are. So you'd have to look on their site and see. And then you can also check. I know that there's the blasting media side. You can check the foundry side and see if you can talk to. I mean, there's foundries all over that use green diamond for their sand. Contact them and see if. Let me do this before I forget. Contact them and see if you can get them to bring in sand for you. That's what you want, the 3060. I've actually used the foundry sand, the 7140 foundry sand. It's a little too soft, in my opinion, and a little too fine to do most of what I want. I just realized that I'm not going to be able to move this to show you guys this screen for the giveaway, but I'm going to do that here in just a minute so I can get out of here. Oh, Omega is the name of the gun, not the unit. Yeah, so the guns, the thing is, man, they only make a couple different powder coating guns. Like, all the companies use pretty much the exact same ones. So, yeah, it probably is the same, like, actual gun. It's like the, you know, somebody mentioned earlier, the KXF1 or whatever. That's the Colo 191, or Colo 191X, I think. But that's just the name of the box. So the whole unit is a 191. The name of the box is the KXF1. So... there's another company that has a new logo very similar to mine. Yeah, it's fun. I don't have much to say about that. I know that my logo was created by me, and it doesn't look like it's from like a spooky Halloween store on a closeout shelf or something, so I don't really care. My logo is unique. I'm cool with my logo being representing me. If people want to, I mean, if people want to have a logo similar to mine, it is what it is. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I've always said you explain everything good in so much detail. Well, glad I helped. Yeah, I'm not selling any stickers, any 710 stickers, especially Flores. Okay, you got. All right, guys. You don't bash other channels in here. Like, I'm not saying that I even disagree with you, but we're just gonna leave it alone. I can appreciate you guys at least seeing the same humor in all of that as I did. I did think it was interesting that the hood, that like brownish hood, matches the dude's hat in the videos, so that's cool. Black Beauty is kind of the same as Green Diamond. The thing about, yeah, I don't like Black Beauty. Black Beauty is dusty and, in my opinion, often too aggressive. Black Beauty also, I know that back in the day, Black Beauty used to have like an oily residue that would come on it, and people would only use it if they were going to be cleaning the parts after. I think that changed, because I know that the bag changed, the design of the bag changed, so I think they actually made a change to it at some point. I'm so glad that you guys can find humor in some of the other videos and other channels online. I'm not going to sit here and bash them. I'm just glad that obviously I wasn't the only person that noticed. Yeah, that hat is something else, huh? I don't know. Kind of want to buy a hat. Buy a hat and ship it to them, because that one's real dirty. Let me check these messages here. All right, I'm gonna hit the thing here for the giveaway in just a second. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about other channels right now. Like, you guys are cracking me up, and there's a ton of things that I want to say, and I'm just not going to. It's not worth the hassle. Yeah, maybe you guys wanna kick down some super fun. We'll get a new hat if you guys are interested. We'll start a collection to get a new hat. So I have these things, all these names listed. I don't know how to show you guys the screen to generate this, because I literally mounted this camera so it wouldn't move, on the off chance that my dogs came over here and got wild.
Anyway, what I'm also gonna do, I think, just because you guys have been in here. Wait, what did we do? We get the like count up? What's the likes to now? Still only 47. There's more people in. Oh no, this is about the same. All right, 47. Actually, wait. If we can get this thing to 50 likes while I'm in here, I'm gonna select 4 more names in the giveaway, and I'm gonna send you guys some merch. So I wonder if it'll let me go back and redo the same list. I should probably just commit to that. So we need, if we get 1 more like, I'm gonna do the giveaway thing right now and see if it'll let me go back and start. Oh, you guys see 50? I only see 49. All right, I believe you. I believe you guys. Oh, it says that it's been streaming for 109 minutes. I said I was gonna do an hour, but let's see. All right, so I'm not gonna be able to show you the screen. I guess next time I have some more giveaways coming up. I'm gonna have to rig this so you guys can see the screen. I should have done it on my phone rather than the computer, but I had to enter over 1,000 names. I only copy and pasted them, to be fair. It wasn't that hard. But I'm gonna do this first giveaway, and then I think maybe I'll enter some of your guys' names. It won't let me vote like a Democrat. Hey, easy now, Steve. There might be some Democrats in here. I think I'm probably more Democrat technically, but I also don't care that much. Oh, aluminum oxide. I guess I thought I answered that earlier, but aluminum oxide is great. Aluminum oxide is typically pretty expensive. That's why most people try to avoid it. It lasts really well. I think I'm gonna order. There's a DuPont makes a product called Star Blast that people are just like in love with, and I think I'm gonna order some of that and just try it. I don't need it. I think I'm just gonna try it more or less for you guys. And then somebody else was recommending, I want to say there was something called like 1010 or 10 something. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. They sell blasting media, and I think they sell blasting products as well. They have something 10 in their name. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? They apparently make some good media as well that's like fairly inexpensive and works pretty well, pretty low dust. My biggest thing is I want stuff to be low dust. I want visibility to stay high. Yeah, 10X, that's the one I was talking about right there. Fast 450, that was the one. When I bought my blasting setup through them, and I didn't love it. I mean, like, it wasn't terrible, but I didn't love it. And buying it from them, you know, Green Diamond for me is just such an easy get. You know, it's like I can go up the street and just buy it. So, yeah, 10X. Yeah, you guys, some of you guys that are asking about blast stuff, looking at that company 10X. I know a bunch of people who have mentioned good things about them. I have never used their products, I can't say, but maybe I'll look into. Maybe I can get that and do some sort of test with that and the Star Blast and Green Diamond. I can even get maybe Black Beauty just as a comparison and some aluminum oxide. I don't know how interesting that video could possibly be, other than maybe I could just go over the results of the test more than like showing me sandblasting a bunch of random pieces of metal. So I'm gonna hit this thing. Where's the button? Oh, pick a random name. There it is. All right. Oh, it like scrolls through the names super fast. I should have tried this out beforehand, but I didn't want to have to re-enter everything, so I was like super scared. I haven't even restarted this computer in days because I entered all this stuff in on the 2nd of, I mean, what is that? 10 days ago. So, oh, it picked a name. I have to scroll down. So the name that it picked is PKUT Lisa, and then I have EM next to it. That means that they contacted me through email. It means that they saw one of the things that I said you could email me. So I haven't seen that name in here at all, but PKUT Lisa is the winner of the plug kit. So I will get in contact with them. I'm trying to see if it was on my, the email list is not on here. And I think what I'm gonna do, it looks like I can go back. I'm gonna contact a few of you. I'm gonna go through right now, and I'm gonna pick 4 more winners to do. I'm just gonna send you guys some like general merch stuff. I'm not gonna announce it in here because I'm afraid that if I hit back, it's gonna eliminate this. So, but I'll go back and see if I can just pick 4 winners. I'm gonna let the computer pick 4 winners and send you guys out to some random cool stuff.
More content, more info. It's good you try new things. Thanks for helping me out, man. At least I don't feel that bad. Hey, Jesus Underestimated, where are you from in Washington? I'm from Seattle. Well, I'm from a town right outside of Seattle, but we'll just say Seattle. It's actually, I don't know what you guys can see on this screen because I'm not looking at it. Oh, yeah, you can see back here the Seattle skyline. Well, it says Seattle, Washington in the text, but you probably can't read that on there. Kevin, hey, no problem, man. Gus, same to you as well, sir. I appreciate you guys checking these out. Dustless blasters. I mean, I think it works great. I think they're really expensive right now. I think until the price comes down, they're a bit unreasonable. I would say that if you have the budget to just jump in and get one, they're probably the future. So, like, why wouldn't you do that? Green Solve is great, man, but Green Solve is stupid expensive. I mean, you're talking, like, to get a setup to strip 4 wheels at once, you're $10,000, $12,000 by the time everything's said and done. It's like, I just don't know why anybody would spend that amount of money to be able to strip wheels, unless wherever you're at, you need to have, like a chemical that's not an issue. I'll take the risk of getting burned with methylene chloride and hydrofluoric acid for now. You guys are all, Wenatchee. Oh, yeah. I know where Wenatchee is. I used to go over to the Tri-Cities all the time for golfing, actually, junior golf tournaments. Color Factory, no problem, man. This message is held for review. I wonder why it's because you said shits. Drew, it made me hit okay on your message because you said shits. And we're all adults that are offended by swearing apparently here, so I wonder if I should turn that off. That's stupid. You can totally swear in here, you guys. We're all adults. If you're offended by swearing, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm gonna get in contact with is it PK Lisa? Something you guys all said her name a second ago. I left it open. Yeah. Oh, it's PK. I wonder if this is Utah. I don't know. That probably doesn't make it. What's PKUT Lisa? So I'll get in contact with her through email to let her know, and then I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go through and pick. Oh yeah, Pacific Raceway. Man, when I was going to Pacific Raceway before it was Pacific Raceway. It used to be called Seattle International Raceway. Yeah, it's a great track, man. My favorite part about that track is just the fact that it's cut out of the tree line. So you have like the actual forest on each side. I'm down in Utah now. We don't have crap for trees here. It's like a desert basically. So I definitely miss my trees and miss green and how gorgeous the Northwest is. You guys are gonna make me sad just talking about it at this point. But I will definitely pick some names out of here. Actually, I'm just gonna pick some names out of here. I'll take all the comments and put them in this generator and pick 4 more names and send you guys some stuff. So I'll contact some of you. I'll probably have to just mention you in my next video because I don't know how to contact you actually through YouTube. I don't actually even know if that's an option. So I guess pay attention to my next video. It's not me trying to sucker you into the next video. I'll put it in the description as well, so you don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to. Let's see, is there thinking is a lot to me. No, they didn't copy my logo. I mean, I'm not the only powder coater that has a masked person in a hood. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I try to stay pretty neutral on a lot of things now in my old age. I'm not trying to get all wild and talking crap about other channels, but it is what it is. If you guys see the similarities, you probably noticed I saw the same similarities, and it is what it is. Like, they didn't copy my logo. My logo is different than theirs. That's all I can say. I always look forward to working that race. Hiking in Snoqualmie is awesome. Go up to Snoqualmie Falls. Yeah, don't want to talk about the sweaty hat. Thanks for all the info. Hey, sorry. Tell your wife sorry. Oh, wait, you're sitting there and the wife had plans without you. Okay, I thought you were making her wait. I was like, damn, bro, you're savage. So, yeah, we'll wrap this thing up. I'll probably do another Q&A. I don't think I'm going to do one next week. My surgery that I told you guys about, it got rescheduled again. So I don't know. I'm going to do Q&As probably a little bit more while I'm down for the surgery, just because I'm not going to be able to do as much work. But it's, I don't know when the next Q&A will be. It'll be either next weekend or the following weekend after that. I'll keep putting out videos as much as possible, though. And if you guys have questions, like I said, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer everything I can. If I can answer them just in text and writing on, through Instagram or YouTube replies or whatever, I'm happy to do that. And if I need to make a video, I'll totally make a video. So, here quietly waiting to see the gun. Yeah, I know, Devin. I'm sorry. It's a long process, man. I think, like I said, when you guys see how in-depth the gun comparison ends up going, you'll understand why this has taken me so long. And I'm sorry that I can't just dedicate. If I could just stop everything I'm doing and dedicate all my time to doing it, I totally would. But I'm a working powder coating shop, so I can't do that. When you see it, I think it'll be well worth the wait, especially some of the results that I've already gotten are pretty surprising. So, all I'm saying is maybe don't go out and spend $4,000 on a gun. We'll say that for right now. Not trying to straight drum. Yeah, 3F. Yeah, I know, man. I get it for sure. It is what it is. JR, man, JR, I'm telling you right now, you're making a wait. You're setting yourself up, bro. Don't be blaming me for that. Thanks for your time. Watch your vids. Oh, the Netherlands. Sweet. Getting people from all over this place. No second. Well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the videos. I'm gonna wrap this up now. I just realized I have to get up and walk around this to go turn this camera off, or turn the feed off. But yeah, we'll look forward to the next videos. Like I said, there should be videos every day this week. There will be actually a new video because I've already scheduled them. I finally fixed the scheduling thing. They were uploading super late at night. I think the last one went up at like 1 in the morning. Last two went up at like 1 in the morning. Now they're going to be going up, I think, at 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, which is the time that most of you guys are on consistently. And you guys, just my subscribers, it says, or my videos are being watched more at that time. So figure about 3 o'clock every weekday this week for the next at least 5 days. I think actually for the next 7, they'll is it 7 or 8? I don't know. There'll be a bunch. You guys will see a ton more content. So, and if you guys have more video ideas, feel free to mention them. Not in here, probably somewhere that I'll be able to read them and go back and look. Jesus, is it Jesus or Jesus? Either way, Jesus underestimated just seems like a funnier name. But where do you get your unicorn pussy? I'm gonna be explaining that in an upcoming video. I kind of went over it earlier in this, so if you can go back and watch if you missed some of this, I explained quite a bit of it in here. But thanks everybody for asking questions. Thanks everybody for the super chats and donating money. That's for sure just gonna go into doing more of this type of stuff. I never thought that I'd be spending money buying recording equipment to be able to do some of this stuff. So it just goes, all the super chat stuff just goes into buying more stuff and making more videos. So we'll keep doing them, and I guess until next time, enjoy the videos this week, you guys.